Welcome to another episode of our Beyond the Numbers interview series where we interview top leaders about what advice they have for themselves and why they like accounting. Today, we are meeting with Rand Hawk. Rand is the Senior Manager, SEC Technical Accounting at Resideo. If you want to see his full LinkedIn profile, I'll put the link in the show notes. Check it out. He's got 6 years of experience, but he was very lucky in one of his first positions out of school. He likes technical accounting. He actually posts on LinkedIn as well. And I think he's pretty smart. So are you ready to get started, Rand?
Yep, thank you.
All right. So tell us, what advice would you have for yourself if you could go back to when you were a staff or senior?
Yeah. As I was thinking about it, I think one of the first things is just to remember that your career is a marathon and not a sprint. I think, coming out of school, I was ready to roll and work really hard, which is great. But I think also just keeping in mind, that you're going to be working for, 40 years and just kind of taking that mindset. And I think as part of that, knowing that it's a marathon, kind of taking care of yourself. I think, the first few years out of school, I was just working and, not as focused on my health and family as I could have been. And so, that's one thing I wish I kind of would have done different, because ultimately, your family is what you have at the end of the day. And, I think career obviously important, and a way to provide for your family, but to keep that in mind and take care of yourself.
That's right. It is 40 years. Like if you start your career in your 20s and you're going to retire when you're 60 or maybe even 70, that's a lot of years, right? You don't have to be CFO in 5 years. You can take a
Right.
So,
Right.
yes.
Exactly. And I think starting out kind of felt that pressure to, do something immediately. And really it's more about just learning and, figuring out how to be a professional and just kind of developing yourself. I think the other thing I thought about is, I was very fortunate, as you talked about, one of my first roles, to have, I'll call them mentors, but also like champions for me.
Okay.
And part of it is just doing good work, working hard, doing a little bit of networking and working with your boss or other mentors. But ultimately, when decisions are made about promotions or what work gets staffed, you aren't usually going to be in the room. And so you really need someone and multiple people if possible who can kind of champion you and help you kind of get those opportunities and specific tasks that you're interested in, that you want to do, that are going to advance your career, I think is a huge piece.
Okay. Do you think it's good to specifically ask somebody if nobody's approaching you, do you think it's okay to ask them if they'll mentor you? And
Yeah, I think so. And maybe not like immediately when your first day on the job, right? But establish yourself, kind of show that, you're worth investing in. And I think people will take notice and you can kind of start to develop that relationship to the point where, I think it's perfectly okay to kind of directly ask for that.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. You still have to show them what you can do, right? And get them to like you, so to speak, and then they'll want to invest the time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So second question, why do you love accounting, or what value has accounting added in your career?
Yeah. I think what I love about accounting, and I'll say, just to caveat at the beginning here, like the kind of GL accounting and kind of same entries, month close isn't as interesting to me. I think it can be a great career path, but for me, what really kind of got me excited about accounting was the technical accounting side. So, and the reason is I feel like it's just a really intellectually challenging. You got to problem solve. It's not, rinse and repeat. It's always something new, different, weird. In my time at EY, I saw, I was in a specialized group that focused on specific portions of the codification. And, I was always surprised, I've done something a dozen times, and then there's just a little bit of a different wrinkle that you got to figure out and work around. And to me, that's just really interesting, really exciting. And I think the other piece of that too is it helps. I always say that, when you're tackling a technical accounting problem, you have to understand the economics. You have to understand what actually is going on in the business. And I feel like it's, really a good place to kind of get that higher level knowledge about business strategy and, why we're, taking certain actions or entering into certain transactions, or why we're structuring it this way. I think is another critical piece and something that I really enjoyed.
Because in your career, okay, you started out in public accounting, E&Y, in the LA office, right? And I think you said you were chosen for their technical accounting group, and you were the first new hire in that technical accounting group. And I would imagine it's pretty competitive in LA as far as like getting the work. Maybe.
Yeah, so what was interesting about our group is it was very national. So there were a handful of people with me in LA, but I worked just as much, if not more, with people in Chicago, New York. And I think, you know, the way I got into the group, there was some alumni from BYU who were already in the group and kind of helped pull me in, and they both were, you know, fantastic mentors and helped me. I followed one of them, 𝗬𝗿𝗄𝗏𝗏𝗏 actually, and he, you know, great friend, great person, and has just been a huge impact and one of those champions for me. So I feel like, yeah, there's kind of that competitive piece, but I think ultimately what gets rewarded is the collaboration and working well with other people. And I definitely have a competitive streak in me, but I try to temper that down and make sure I focus on the cooperation.
Okay. And you've done some really interesting things, right? That you were doing the M&A, the IPO, what derivatives and everything, right? So, and now you're in industry. This is your first industry job, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I will mention that Rand is looking for a senior technical accountant. Where are you hiring? In Scottsdale, Utah?
Yep, Scottsdale, Arizona, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Charlotte, North Carolina. A really cool role. It's, you know, I feel like for a younger professional with an interest in technical accounting, like that's going to be 75% of the job is working on all the weird stuff that most people don't want to touch and handle, but stuff that is, I think, super exciting, super interesting, and you know, I am really excited about that position and where our group's headed.
If you go look at his LinkedIn profile, you will get a good feel for his personality as far as like what he likes to talk about. And he does talk about like high level, you know, stuff, technical accounting stuff, but then he produces some humorous content out there as well. So
yeah, like to throw a little of that in. Not all accountants are boring.
Right.
So
right. You did have a poll over the weekend. I can't remember. I wasn't the main group.
Oh yeah, it was which tattoo is best for an accountant.
Oh right. See, I'm T account because I have clients that ask how to write a T account in the interview. So that's not always, I'm not sure. So, there you go. All right, Rand, any other advice that you'd like to give to somebody just kind of starting out, coming up in their accounting career?
Yeah, I think, you know, maybe just piggybacking on my comment about, you know, getting champions for yourself. I think the other side of that is to champion other people, to lift up, you know, your team. We always say, you know, it's just accounting. We're not working in a hospital. Nobody's life is on the line, but you can still have a huge impact just by, you know, caring about the people you work with and, you know, trying to be a good person, good influence, and, you know, working well with everyone. So I think that ultimately was most important in a career.
Okay. All right, Rand. Well, we appreciate your time today. Stay tuned in the next couple of weeks as we interview another Valley leader and find out their opinion. So we appreciate your time today, Rand. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bernadette.